Hi everyone, welcome to Study Buddy Homeschooling. In today's session, we'll be seeing CBSE Class 10 English poem Animals written by Walt Whitman. So, Walt Whitman is an American poet who lived between 1819 to 1892. So, he had written a collection of poems known as Leaves of Grass. So, one of the collections is Song of Myself, from which Animals is taken. So, the collection of poetry, the book is known as Leaves of Grass, from Song of Myself, Animals is taken. So, let's go and see about the poet first before we actually move into the poem. Walt Whitman is an American poet born in the year 1819 and passed away in the year 1892. So, Walt Whitman is a major figure in early American poetry. In an age when all poetry was rhymed and metrical, Whitman made Whitman made a break with tradition and wrote a revolutionary new kind of poetry in free verse. He was a non-conformist in all respects, including his social life. So Walt Whitman, who lived between 1819 to 1892, was a very modern poet who broke the tradition of writing poems. He was a revolutionary kind of poet because he didn't stick to the norms of poetry, like it has to be in this rhythm, it has to follow a pattern. He broke all the tradition and he was a freestyle poet. So he was also a non-conformist in all respects. Non-conformist refers to not sticking to any tradition. He doesn't fit into any group or social setup. He's a free thinker basically. So this is what about the poet Walt Whitman is. So let's go and see the poem. Animals by Walt Whitman. The poet tells us that he feels more at home with animals than humans, whom he finds complicated and false. So the first introduction itself is it just gives a message, just gives an insight into how the poem is going to be. The poet feels that he's very comfortable with animals than humans because he finds humans to be complicated and false. He finds that he's more comfortable with animals because they are very simple, and he finds humans to be really complicated and false. So let's move into the poem. I think I could turn and live with animals. They are so placid and self-contained. So he feels that he could turn away from humans and live with animals. So at this point of time when he's writing the poem, he is probably very upset with humans, and he wants to turn towards animals because he feels they are placid and self-contained. Placid refers to calm and peaceful, and self-contained means they're just happy with what they have. That's why the poet wants to turn towards animals. He at the moment when he's writing, he doesn't seem to be happy with humans because he feels that animals are more calm and they're so happy with what they have. I stand and look at them long and long. He says, he keeps observing them for a very long period of time. He says, they do not sweat and whine about their condition. So sweat refers to working hard, and whine refers to complain. So he says they do not complain about their condition. No, they are happy with what they have, unlike the humans who are always cribbing, complaining, not happy, always negative. So he brings about the perspective, human perspective. He brings about the things that humans go through, what he sees. They do not lie awake in the dark and weep for the sins. He says the animals do not lie awake in the dark and they do not weep for the sins. Sins means the wrongdoings. So he says, the animals are not awake in the dark. They sleep early, which means that humans are not happy. That's why they are not even able to sleep peacefully. They are awake even during the night time when it's dark and weep for their sins. So they keep brooding about their things that they have done in the past. So they're always complaining. So he says animals are not like that, but humans are like that, always complaining. They're not happy with their present lives, unlike animals who are always calm and peaceful and contained. They do not make me sick discussing their duty to God. So he says humans keep discussing about their duty to God, and he doesn't really like it. He says, animals don't do that. They don't discuss about their duty that they have to do to God. Not one is dissatisfied. So he says all the animals are satisfied. Not one is demented with the mania of owning things. Demented refers to being crazy. Mania refers to the obsession. Obsession one has about owning things. So he says animals don't have the obsession of owning things. It's only the people who are not satisfied. No one is dissatisfied. Here he says no, none of the animals are dissatisfied. They're always satisfied. No one is demented. No one is crazy about owning things. So he says people are really crazy. They are not satisfied with what they have, crazy about the mania of owning things. They're very greedy. They're never satisfied with what they have, always thinking about negative things in lives. They're obsessed about things they do not have, and they want to go back and run at things that they do not have. That craze is there with humans. That is not there with animals. That's what he says. Not one kneels to another, not to his kind that lived thousands of years ago. So he says the animals don't kneel towards others, they don't bend and touch the feet of others, nor to his kind that lived thousands of years ago. They never bend their knees or pray to their ancestors. But we all humans do that, right? We always uh, keep our ancestors' photo, we worship them on yearly basis, on days, certain days of the year, we worship them. So he says the animals don't do that. Not one is respectable or unhappy over the whole earth. So they animals, he says, they are not bothered about respect and self-respect, and they are not unhappy over the whole earth. Everybody is happy. Everybody is happy. Unlike humans, where every human you look into, they have some worries, sorrows, they have some wishes, some greed. Everything is there. But in animals, he says, they're plain and happy. So they show their relations to me and I accept them. He says they show their love to me and I easily accept them. They bring me tokens of myself. They evince them plainly in their possession. They bring me tokens of myself. He says tokens refers to the good qualities that humans used to possess long back, like love, care, compassion, caring, sharing, all that was present when we started out as human beings 1 lakh years ago. We all had this. We lived together in group. We grouped ourselves for safety, security. We did everything by sharing and caring. We lived as a joint family. But over the years of evolution of human, we have lost the good values of caring, sharing. We have become more nuclear now. Only our family. We don't think about anything else except for ourselves. So that caring, sharing, all is gone. But instead, they're filled by negative qualities like jealousy, greedy, all this unhappiness. We have filled up ourselves with all this. That's what he says. They bring me tokens of myself. He says, the animals remind me about the good qualities that I used to have. They evince refers to show them plainly in their possession. They literally show off that goodness. Animals do that. He says, I wonder where they get those tokens. He's wondering, how they're having this token still when humans have lost it, isn't it? When we humans were formed thousands of years ago, 1 lakh year ago almost, we had all these good qualities, but over the period of evolution, we have lost that good qualities and we have become so selfish. Did I pass that way huge times ago and negligently drop them? He says, did I pass? Here, I refers to not just the poet, the whole humanity itself. Did I pass that way huge times ago and negligently drop them? Drop them refers to dropping the tokens. What are the tokens? The good qualities that we humans used to have, that love, care, compassion, all this is gone. So he says, did I pass? Did I drop such good qualities long back ago? So this I refers to not just uh, the poet Walt Whitman. It's about the whole humanity, because this poet, he has written this poem in the early 19th century. It's almost 200 years later, so we can still relate to what he is saying. It's much more worse than what it was during his times. Now people are very selfish, greedy, and we don't have an iota of goodness except for few instances here and there. So humanity now is filled with greed, anger, war, differences. All this is cropping up, and we seem to have missed our goodness. So tokens here refers to goodness that humans used to have, but we have dropped them long back in the process of evolution. But still, these animals are still having that. They seem to still possess that good values which we have lost as human beings over the period of our growth. So, this is a wonderful poem written by Walt Whitman, which shows us the reality. Even 200 years later, after his birth, we are still able to relate, and it's even more worse now with respect to the human values which have come down or degraded. So, let's move into the question section now. Thinking about the poem, notice the use of word turn in the first line. I think I could turn and live with animals. What is the poet turning from? So he's turning from the humans, because he is not able to relate to them at all. He finds them very selfish, very not satisfied. Second one, mention three things that humans do, animals don't. It's mentioned in the poem. What are the things that humans do? Humans complain about their condition. Humans stay awake in the dark and keep crying for our mistakes that we do. We keep discussing about the duty that we do to God. So these are the things that humans do and animals don't do. We pray to our ancestors. So these are the things that humans do and animals don't. Humans are never satisfied, right? Third question, do humans kneel to other humans who lived thousands of years ago? Discuss this in groups. Yes, humans do kneel down to our ancestors who lived, who gave birth to us. We uh, worship them in during different times of the year. We do it as a gratitude to the ancestors. So we kneel down and do that. Fourth one, what are the tokens that the poet says he may have dropped long ago and which the animals have kept for him? So he says, what are the tokens? The tokens refers to the good human values like love, care, compassion, caring, sharing, goodness. These are the tokens which the poet writes the humans have dropped long ago in the process of our evolution, but the animals have not done that. They are still caring and very lovable creatures. So these are the questions which are at the back of your poem lesson. So thanks for watching, and please do subscribe to our channel. Thank you.